So the Trump administration is rolling back some of the CAFE requirements that the Biden administration put in place. That's not a surprise, and it's not the news that jumped out at me from their press conference about this. Welcome back to All Cars Reacts, y'all, to the news. My name is John, and so Trump is continuing to roll back the EV mandate that isn't a mandate of the Biden administration. And yesterday he had a press conference where he is removing some standards that Biden put in place to increase the corporate average fuel economy, the fuel economy that auto manufacturers, their vehicles have to meet. Now, it's interesting because lost in the political discussion about this is that he hasn't eliminated it. He's rolled it back. I question why he did it because of another change he made previously, but it's because I do think that Trump and his administration is playing 3D chess right now with future administrations. But I'm going to give you a brief history about this real quick and my thoughts on it. But really the point, the thing that jumped out at me could change what is available here in America. So, average fuel economy, that has been in place, corporate average fuel economy. It's administered by the NHTSA since the 70s, and the intention was to reduce our reliance on foreign oil. Now, of course, they set it up so that you had cars and you had trucks, and the standards have changed over time. Back during the Obama administration, they rewrote the rules, and they made it based on the footprint of the car. I've done a whole video about that. It's the most successful video I've ever done, as a matter of fact. But the downside to it was, the point was that if you had a bigger car, it could not possibly make the same gas mileage, so they gave a little bit of a credit. The bigger the footprint of a car, the less gas mileage you had to meet. You think about, you drive a Honda Civic versus a F-150, the F-150 is never going to get the same gas mileage. Pretty common sense stuff. But the flip side of it is it penalized auto manufacturers for making smaller cars. If they wanted to introduce a smaller car, their gas mileage had to shoot up, or they had to pay penalties. All right. Then the Biden administration comes along, and of course they passed their bill that gave the $7,500 tax credit, gave tax credits to battery manufacturers, did a bunch of different things. And one part of what the Biden administration did was set new standards for the fuel economy. Now, part of the way they did that is by taking into account EVs and hybrids. So they're not mandating that you have to have an EV or a hybrid, but the only way manufacturers can meet the corporate average fuel economy would be to offer EVs and hybrids or subsidize them enough to get them in the hands of people. Now, there's a big political discussion beyond that, but administrators, unelected officials setting rules that are kind of changing the economy, that's what the Supreme Court said no to with the overturning of the Chevron doctrine. Again, over on my main channel, I did a whole version about what overturning the Chevron doctrine actually means. And what's going to mean is that administrators can't just set new rules based on whatever they feel like. They can only do what is mandated by Congress. And Congress, as I understand it, the corporate average fuel economy is for gas-powered vehicles. So what Trump has done is they've not erased all this. They haven't wiped it out. They haven't rolled us back to the 70s. All they've done is rewrite the rules to slow down the future increase in gas mileage and fuel economy requirements. And so if the Biden administration had said it needs to improve 2% a year until 2031, well, now the rule's being written so it's like 0.4% and then it's 0.2% or something along those lines. It's slowing down the increase. And I think that brings it more in line with technology and buyer preferences and what can be achieved for an affordable price. Now, interestingly, when Biden changed his rules, he said that was going to save something like $20 or $23 billion for consumers, and then Trump repeals it, rolls it back, and says it's going to save $100 billion. Well, can we just keep doing that? And If it's up 23 and down 100, well, pretty soon we won't have a deficit anymore. I am joking, of course, but don't believe the news or the political interests that are like, oh, this is horrible, it's going to destroy the environment. All it's done is slow down the increase in fuel economy standards. That's the news. But during this press conference, Trump said something that caught my ear and then put his secretary on the spot about it too. So here's what Trump said.
If you go to Japan, where I just left, and if you go to South Korea and Malaysia and other countries, they have a very small car, sort of like the Beetle used to be with the Volkswagen. They're very small, they're really cute. And I said, how would that do in this country? And everyone seems to think good, but you're not allowed to build them. And I've authorized the secretary to immediately approve the production of those cars. So you'll be able to buy, they really are, they're actually, some of them are really beautiful, actually. If you take a look, Honda, some of the Japanese companies do a beautiful job. But we're not allowed to make them in this country. And I think you're going to do very well with those cars. So.
All right, so I'm not sure exactly what car he's talking about there, but if he's talking about going overseas, especially Japan, but Asia, and seeing these little cars that are cute, I believe he's talking about KEI Cars. So this is a Japanese car concept. They are size restricted and engine size restricted, but you can't bring them to America. And the reason is our environmental and our safety standards. Now, I did a video a long time ago, and I am a big proponent that the U.S. and the world, the industrialized, right, the first world, needs to have a set of standards that everybody can agree on so that cars can be sold from one to the other, certainly with safety standards. Japan is not a backwoods, nation that doesn't care about its people. They have strong safety standards. They care about car safety, but they still have KEI cars, but we can't. And I believe these would be excellent cars for retirees or first-time buyers and city dwellers being able to zip around, and they've got a ton of personality. I'm a big proponent of KEI cars coming here to America. So he puts his secretary on the spot, and he says this.
He gave me the directive to clear the regulations on this, which we have. And so if Toyota or any other company wants to make smaller, more affordable cars, fuel efficient, we have cleared the deck so they can make them in America and sell them in America.
Okay, I don't think it's as easy as the president is saying we're going to clear the way so they can come here and it's going to be great for everybody. If they can't come here for crash testing reasons, well, you can't just wipe that away. It's going to be a bigger issue than that. But it sounds to me like the intent is to make it easier to import these smaller cars here and start getting us back into smaller vehicles again. I'm extremely excited about that. And when you look at some of what's out there, again, we don't know what cars Trump saw. Now, it could be the Honda N-Box, I think it is, or one of my favorites, the Mitsubishi Delica Mini. Love these cars, love to see them here. On the other hand, he also has tariffs on cars being imported from other countries. So it's kind of hard to say that we want these cars to come here. Oh, by the way, we're going to put a 25% tax on them when they come in. And I don't see any manufacturer deciding to move here and dedicate a factory or build a factory to build a microcar if they're not certain the rules aren't going to change in 3 years. And that's part of where I'm going to end of the CAFE change. Why did Trump do it? Because his administration has stopped penalizing auto manufacturers for not meeting CAFE requirements. So if you have a truck and it's got to make 30 miles per gallon, and it's what you're selling, your Hemi is only making 28, you're supposed to pay a penalty on it. Dramatic oversimplification, but you get the idea. Well, Trump has said, his administration said, they're just not going to penalize auto manufacturers for it. In fact, I think they forgave penalties to manufacturers like Stellantis. But if you take a bigger picture view here, saying they have changed what the CAFE growth, the fuel economy growth is going to be through 2031, The Chevron decision has said administrators cannot just willy-nilly write whatever they want to. Congress has to say this is the sphere of influence. This is what your intention is. And now, when another administration comes in, they can't just write new rules and have an EV mandate without Congress dictating it. He's actually rolled back rules, stopped the fines, set it so that a future administration has a much harder time setting ever more stringent fuel economy standards or moving to hybrids and EVs. Again, I'm not sure what's going on in their mind there, but I think they're playing 3D chess 6 years, 7 years into the future. It's really fascinating stuff. But the news to me is there's a chance, a slim chance, those wonderful, delicious KEI Cars from Japan and Asia could be coming here. It'll be interesting to see if any manufacturer, and I'm looking at you, Mitsubishi, has the guts to give it a shot. And specifically how the administration is going to actually truly clear the way through all the other mess of regulations we have here in America for those cars to come here. They can't just wave a pen and make it happen. It's going to be more than that. Or is this all just going to be forgotten next week? Thanks for being here. Look forward to hearing your comments below on it.